girls in your neighborhood are...
Come here, big fella. Let's go take a little on my pop.
In this video, we will dive into the movie Zombieland. We will discuss the movie story, summarize the plot, and explore the cast and characters. Additionally, we will cover the movie production details and box office performance. Finally, we will share reviews and personal reactions. Let's begin with the movie story. The narrator, Columbus, going by the name of where he's from, played by Jesse Eisenberg, starts by telling us about how the plague began. Mad cow disease mutated and created Patient Zero. Patient Zero spread the plague until most of the world was wiped out. Columbus survives because he was a bit of a shut-in. His nurses peaked at college, and so when the plague hit, he stayed indoors mocking off of pizza, Mountain Dew Code Red, and playing World of Warcraft. He didn't plan to leave his dorm, but the night the epidemic began, Columbus was sitting around when his hot neighbor 406 started knocking on his door. He opened the door, and 406, played by Amber Heard, tells him about the crazy psycho who tried to take a bite out of her. Columbus gives her some Mountain Dew and lets her rest on his cock. They fall asleep together. When Columbus wakes up, 406 is a zombie and attacks him. She chases him around the apartment until he makes it to the bathroom. Columbus breaks her leg and then smacks her in the face with a toilet lid. She gets up and tries to attack him again, so Columbus puts her down with a second smack. In the present, Columbus survives following a set of rules. At a gas station, he refuels his car and needs to use the bathroom, but remember that the zombies are aware of where people are off guard. He explains that the one thing which scares him worse than zombies are clown and imagines a clown looking at him as he is taking a dump. As he nears the bathroom, a zombie bursts out an attack while another zombie circles from behind. Columbus runs around in circle until he successfully gets into his car, which he left unlocked. He starts to drive away when a zombie appears in his back seat. Columbus crashes the car and after sending the zombie through the windshield, shoots it in the head. Columbus collapses against his car and crashes himself. The next morning, Columbus is traveling down an abandoned highway when a car comes zooming down the highway. The driver sees Columbus even as he tries to hide and stop his car. The driver from Tallahassee, played by Harrelson, steps out and the two point their guns at one another. Columbus asks for a ride and Tallahassee accepts. They don't use their real name since it would only foster a teammate. Tallahassee agrees to take Columbus as far east as the next town but noted that their personalities clashes. Tallahassee tells Columbus that he lost the only thing that meant anything to him. His little pup was the only thing that matters to him. He had wash it, walk it, and make it breakfast every morning. The zombie took care of him, so Tallahassee doesn't have anything left except killing zombies. On the way to the next town, they see a hostage truck crashed off the side of the road. Tallahassee is in search of one of the world's lost Twinkies, so he clamps down but finds it full of snowballs. This pisses Tallahassee off and forces him to continue on their journey. Tallahassee pulls over to a grocery store and goes through weapons in the back of his car as he takes a metal bat, banjo and some hedge clippers and goes to town. He kills the three zombies in the store easily. Columbus is impressed, but their congratulations are short-lived when they see Wichita, played by Emma Stone. Wichita tells them to come quick since her little sister Little Rock, played by Abigail Breslin, has been bitten. Tallahassee agrees to put Wichita down even though he is clearly uncomfortable with the situation. Wichita asks if she can be the one to do it, so Tallahassee hands her the gun. Wichita and Little Rock then told the two hostages and steal their car, staring them in the supermarket without any weapons. Wichita and Little Rock were con guards before the plague, so they apply their skills in Zombieland to their advantage. Tallahassee is pissed at his turn of events as the two carry their stuff all the way to the nearby set of suburbs. Tallahassee loses his temper and bashes the crap out of the minivan on the side of the road. He then notices a Hummer and the two find a fully stocked arsenal in the back of the Hummer. The pair head west to catch up with Wichita and Little Rock. Columbus is clearly in love with Wichita and Tallahassee points out that it's okay to want to sleep her. Hell, she fucked both of us twice already. They see their old car abandoned on the side of the road. Tallahassee goes to the car with the intention of shooting them, but the car is abandoned. He returns to Columbus and once he buckles up, realizes that Little Rock is in the back seat with the gun pointed at them. The group start driving around and Wichita tells them about how they are going to an old amusement park near Hollywood which will be zombie free. She wants to give her little sister something to believe in. Columbus asks if they heard about Columbus, Ohio, and Wichita tells him It burns to the ground and that everyone is dead. Columbus is in shock and Tallahassee hits Wichita and points out what she said. The group stops at an out-of-the-way native Indian store. They look around and then trash the store in order to entertain themselves. Columbus puts on a bit of cologne and Tallahassee makes fun of him for putting on perfume. When the group leaves, Wichita points out that Columbus smells like perfume. That night, while Wichita drives and Tallahassee and Little Rock sleep, Wichita apologizes for her insensitivity. The two bond and Columbus decide to stay because Wichita is someone he has always wanted to be with. The next morning, Tallahassee drives the group into Hollywood and tour the celebrity mansions. Tallahassee drives them to the best mansion of them all, Bill Murray. Little Rock has never heard of Bill Murray, so Columbus takes her into Bill Murray's home theater and the two watch Ghostbusters while talking about Wichita. Wichita and Tallahassee explore the house and encounter Bill Murray. Dressed as a zombie, he uses camouflage to travel around among the zombies and easily gets around Hollywood on the theory that zombies don't mess with other zombies. Tallahassee sings Murray praise and then Murray decided to play a joke on Columbus. He sneaks up on them in the theater and Columbus ends up shooting Murray and killing him. The group gives him a salute and then tosses his body off the roof. That night, the group fools around in the mansion while playing Monopoly. Tallahassee talks about his little pup again and Columbus realizes that it wasn't a dog. Tallahassee had a son and once he lost him. He became a vengeful man whose only pleasure comes from killing the undead. Columbus feels for his friend and ends up alone with Wichita. Wichita and Columbus get drunk together and dance. Wichita tells Columbus that she would totally hit that when she thinks about whether or not they should sleep together. They are about to kiss when Tallahassee comes in asking for help. Wichita tells Columbus that she and her sister will do anything to survive. They drive away the next morning, leaving Columbus and Tallahassee behind. The guards arrive at the theme park that night and turn all the equipment. This draws all the zombies in the area to the park and causes a lot of problem for the guards. They take refuge on the space drop and shot out the machines so that they would be safe high above the zombies. As zombies start climbing up to get them, Tallahassee and Columbus arrives. Tallahassee lures the zombies away from the guards and sends Columbus to rescue them. Columbus is chased by zombies through a haunted house but escapes. Tallahassee goes around the theme park killing zombies while using the rides. The guards run out of the bullets on the space drop as two zombies climb up to get them. With only 2 pistols and 4 extra clips, Tallahassee is forced to retreat to a carrying prize Kentucky for his last stand. Columbus is about to reach the guards when he runs into a giant zombie clown. He notes the irony in the situation and proceeds to beat it to death and rescue the guards. In the end, all the zombies in the park are dead and the group is safely reunited. Tallahassee and Columbus go to a fried Twinkie shake in the park and look for Twinkies. Tallahassee starts to lose it when they hear a noise in the back room. Columbus shuts the door, but it turns out there was only a rat inside. The box of Twinkies was destroyed when Columbus shut the door. Tallahassee is pissed and about to hurt Columbus when they hear their car pulling away. Little Rock tosses a Twinkie she found when they arrived at the park to Tallahassee, and Tallahassee eats the delicious cake and truly enjoys it. The group drives away together, nothing that they are now like a little family. Now let's talk about the main cast biography shortly. Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson, born July 23, 1961, Midland, Texas, US, is an American actor who gained fame from his role as a dim-witted pretender on the classic sitcom Cheers and later on respect as an accomplished and magnetic film actor. Following the collapse of his parent major when he was a child, Harrelson and his mother and siblings moved to Lebanon, Ohio. His father was later convicted of murder Harrelson began acting in school plays while attending high school. After studying theater and English at Hanover College, Indiana, BFA 1983, he moved to New York City. In 1985, he began an understudy for a production of Neil Simpson Biloxi Bulls, but that same year he was cast in the role of Woody Beard on Cheers. The good-hearted but dim-witted pretendant was a popular character, and in 1989, Harrelson received an Emmy Award that remained on the show until the end of its run in 1993. During his time, they occasionally appeared in movies including the sports comedies Wildcats 1986 and White Men Cannot Jump 1992. Although he wrote about being typecast, Harrelson proved his versatility with his menacing performance in Oliver Stone's Natural Born Killers 1994. After appearing in a few more comedies, Harrelson started as the title pornographer in Milos Forman's The Pupil vs. Larry Flynt in 1996, a surprise critical hit that earned Harrelson an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor. He had a major role in Barry Levinson's dark political satire Wag the Dog 1997 and was part of the ensemble cast of The Thin Red Line 1998, Terrence Malick Mediation on War. He also started with Matthew McConaughey in Ron Howard's EDTV 1999. In addition, in 2001, he had a recurring role on the sitcom Will and Grace. Extremely prolific, Harrelson subsequently worked in a series of minor comedies and action movies interspersed with such films as Spike Lee's She Hate Me 2004, the feminist drama North Country 2005, Robert Altman's A Pair Home Companion 2006, and Joel and Ethan Coen's No Country for Old Men 2007. He later gave an Oscar-nominated performance as an army officer tasked with delivering the news of the death of soldiers to their families in The Messenger 2009. He co-starred in the popular horror comedy Zombieland 2009 and its 2019 sequel, and he won praise for his role as the damaged survivor Hamish Abernathy in the Hunger Games series 2012-13, 14 and 15, which was adapted from Suzanne Collins' popular young adult books. He was compelling in the little role of Bob Reiner LBJ 2016. For his portrayal of the sheriff in The Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri 2017, Harrelson receives another Oscar nomination, and he later played a smuggler in Solo, a Star Wars Story 2018. In the 2019 action drama Midway, he was cast as Chester W. Nemes. Harrelson later portrayed a serial killer in Venom Let There Be Carnage 2021, which was based on a Marvel comic book series. Also in 2021, he appeared in the action thriller Kate. Harrelson supplemented his movies career with continued TV works. His performance as John McCain's campaign manager in the TV movies Game Change 2012, about the 2018 presidential election, was praised. In 2014, he started in the anthology series True Detective, and he played Archie Bunker in the 2019 television stage performance of an episode of the sitcom All in the Family. Our next main character is Jesse, and the Zombieland movie was played by these characters, so we will discuss their biography later. The undead remain hilarious. There's no getting around it. Zombies are funny. I think they stopped being scary for me long toward the end of Night of the Living Dead. Okay, maybe in a few others like 28 Days Later. They are the energy bunnies of cops, existing primarily to be splatted. But who would have guessed such a funny movies as Zombieland could be made around zombies? No thanks to the zombies. The movie is narrated by a guy played by Jesse Eisenberg, named after his hometown of Columbus, Ohio, who is making his way back home across a zombie infested America. The landscape is strewn with burnt out cars and dead bodies. He encounters another non zombie survivor, Tallahassee. The two team up not without many disagreement and eventually find two healthy women, the Wichita and her little sister, Little Rock. The plot comes down to a road movie threatened by the undead as countless zombies are shot, mashed, segmented, and otherwise inconvenienced. Wichita and Little Rock turn out to be con women, dashing the hopes for the love-struck Columbus, yet eventually they all join in an odyssey to a Los Angeles amusement park for no better reason that there's no location like a carnival for a horror movie. Yes, even with the haunted house, the usual ominous glow-up music and a zombie clown, Columbus, like so many others, is phobic about clowns, making Eisenberg and Ingrid, since his mother put him through a grade school by playing clown at children parties. All of this could have been dreary, but not there. The filmmakers show invention and well-turned comic turning. And above all, there's a cameo by Bill Murray that gets the single biggest laugh I have ever heard this year. The foursome haul up at Murray's vast Beverly Hills mansion, so Plantennial is a sorely and grand hotel, and finds him still in residence. More than that, I will not say, except that not many zombie comedies can make me think simultaneously about Psycho and Garfield. Eisenberg, a good actor, plays a pleasant nod who has compiled a seemingly endless survival list for the United States of zombies. These items are displayed in on-screen graphic that part of our loves and include a tribute to the Black Seat rule of My Little Movie Clustly, which instructs us, but I am sure you remember. Woody Harrelson takes a great deal of relish in killing zombies after declining to use a gun because he prefers killing them with car doors, tire irons, and whatever else comes to hand. As usual, the zombies are witless, lumbering oafs who dutifully line up to be slaughtered. Vampires make a certain amount of sense to me, but zombies not so much. What's their purpose? Why do they always look so bad? Can there be a zombie with good skin? How can they be smart enough to determine that you are food and so dumb that they don't perceive you are about to blast them? I ask these questions only because I need a few more words for this review. I will close by observing that Bill Murray in the first comedian since Jack Benny who can get a laugh simply by standing there. Zombieland movie, so enjoyable you almost want to join the apocalypse. 12 years after its release, Zombieland 2009 remains one of the most enjoyable films in the flesh-eating genre. Its secret sauce, brilliant casting, 5 Academy Awards nominees, fast pacing, and the fact it just doesn't take itself too seriously. The premise of Zombieland is pretty simple. 4 jetted individuals reluctantly join forces and carpool across the country during a zombie apocalypse. The narrator, Columbus, is a social recluse who has survived by following a list of conservative rules, including staying fit enough to outrun the zombies. Number 2 is and shooting them twice to make that they are actually dead. Rule number 2, double tap. Director Ruben Fleischer made his directorial debut with his films and takes great delight in covering each of these rules in gory detail. A homemaker escapes the neighborhood zombie kid only to go flying through her windscreen because she is not pickle up. Columbus visits inevitable power, sandstorm, and rolling suitcase is the perfect fool for snakeskin jacket and cowboy hat wearing Tallahassee. Tallahassee is in the buck-kicking business and business is good. Harrelson declared two chainsaw in hand. After a tense standoff, Columbus hitches a ride. The film looks set to fade into odd couple mood until the pair are outwitted by jaded 20-something Wichita, played by Emma Stone, and her preteen sister Little Rock. The women quickly hustle the unsuspecting men, taking their guns and their truck not once but twice on a quest to reach Pacific Pale Land, their childhood happy place. Part of what makes this film work in the chemistry between the cast, there's a sense of ease and camaraderie which is greatly helped by the zombie zappy editing, well-packed flashback, clever use of graphics and snippy dialogue. Little Rock's explanation of Hannah Montana to an engrossed Tallahassee stands out. Above all, they seems to be having fun, something missing from most of the executingly gritty starring of zombie production that have emerged over the last 2 decades, from the 11-act riddle season of The Walking Dead to Hollywood hit World War Z and unpitied Resident Evil film. When the cast rush and smash an Arizona gift store, their delight is so genuine you can wish you could be in there with them. A standout moment in the appearances of actor Bill Murray, who shows up in a brilliantly executed cameo. While Murray almost steals the show, it's Harrelson as Tallahassee who ends up carrying the film. His character offers a handy roadmap in how to deal with the apocalypse, including in blind rage to vent your frustration, develop a dark sense of humor, and pursue your comfort food of choice, Twinkies, at all cost. He even inspired Columbus to add another rule to his list, rule number 32, enjoy the little things. It doesn't set out to be, but the end his zombie set in quite sweet. Sure, there's a blood, guts and gore, but the virtues of royalty, trust and family are established without feeling cheesy or insecure, almost as much of the triumphs as surviving the apocalypse. Zombieland 2009 movie. 12 facts about the Zombieland movie. The horror genre emerged in the 1930s, and Victor Halperin White Zombie starring Bela Lugosi is generally regarded as the very first flick to feature walking props. Zombies has been depicted differently on the screen. They can be slow movers, sprinters or climbers, and either mindless or frequently self-aware. They have been called walkers, deadites, rotters, biters, and the living dead. Their venue state may be the result of a man-made virus, a disease, or a supernatural spell. Regardless of all these elements, what matter that is subgenre is still as popular as ever and producing not only acclaimed standalone films and long-running series but also movies franchises. Case in point, the post-apocalyptic horror comedy Zombieland 2009, which grossed $102 million at the box office, and its sequel Zombieland Double Tap 2019, which made $125.2 million. Directed by Ruben Fleischer, they star Woody Harrelson as Tallahassee, Jesse Eisenberg as Columbus, Emma Stone as Wichita, and Abigail Breslin as Little Rock. Special appearances including Bill Murray as a fictionalized version of himself and Rosario Dawson as Nevada, the owner of an Elvis-themed motel. After a mad cow disease turned into a zombie outbreak, Tallahassee, a trigger-happy guy who recently lost his son, reluctantly teamed up with the awkward and intelligent Columbus as a fighting clash-eating creature were not enough. They are also joined by two sisters, Smoked Eye Wichita and 12-year-old Little Rock. The sequel set several years after those events featured involved harder to kill zombies, hence the double tap romance and the search for a violence-free community. As entertaining as these two films are, the following behind-the-scene facts are equally interesting to fans. While they cross their fingers for a third installment in 2029. Emma Stone is hoping for a new chapter every decade. Even though Zombieland 3 is still just wishful thinking, Emma Stone was declared she would absolutely love to be in it. In fact, as per GameSpot, Ruben Fleischer admitted that the La La Land star told him she hopes that every 10 years she can make a Zombieland. Almost like in a B-wood or something type A, we can just tuck in with our characters and see how they are doing in the post-apocalypse. A fitting comparison since Richard Linklater's 2014 coming-of-age drama was filmed over 12 years. It would be interesting to see what would become of the relationship within the growing gang and how the infected would mutate into scarier version. The first script was intended for a TV plot. A writer's retreat and Paul Rendick, the dude behind Deadpool, first developed the script as an hour-long television pilot in 2005 and sold it to CBS. The network had a lot of remarks and requested several changes, but the show was never made and the script was eventually revised and developed into a feature. Rice told ScriptMake that they owed it all to Sony Television executive Chris Parnell and producer Gavin Plong, saying to Chris Parnell's credit, he never gave up on the project. And Gavin Plong convinced his bosses to hire us to expand the concept into a made-for-TV movies or straight-to-DVD film. When we wrote the feature version, Gavin decided that the project was too good, not to mention too expensive, not to go straight to DVD, so he took the project to Columbia, where executive Matt Delmesh fell in love with the script and we made it. As for the zombie kill of the week moments from the movies is written left idea intended for the weekly TV show. Nut Up or Shut Up almost didn't make it. Tallahassee is obsessed with finding a Twinkie bar in the apocalypse, and when Columbus sees his wide array of prized weapons and expresses his reluctance to risk his life for a smack cake, Tallahassee seems more determined than ever to go into the grocery stores and tell his young partner that it's time to nut up or shut up. Fleischer thought that line was cheesy and almost had it removed, but Plon, who also produced Curb Your Enthusiasm and Gilmore Girls, insisted they kept it, and it turns out to be Zombieland's most memorable line. Except Harrelson doesn't eat Twinkies. The irony is that Woody Harrelson doesn't eat Twinkies because he is a strict vegan and they contain beef fat and eggs. The ones he touches and munches on were made out of cornmeal especially for him. In fact, one of his conditions for accepting the role of Tallahassee was for Fleischer to follow a strict vegan diet for a week during production. Fleischer had difficulties adhering to his rule, but he ended up doing it for a month after shooting Rap as a personal challenge. Shooting was delayed because of Harrelson's arrest. Harrelson was arrested for marijuana possession, which delayed the production of Zombieland for a day. The actor was fervent supporter of cannabis at the time, especially for medicinal use, but in the state of Georgia, where principal photography was taking place, selling, buying, using and growing marijuana for recreation purpose were illegal. Murray's cameo gave gone to another star. Bill Murray's iconic cameo almost didn't happen because the role was first offered to Dirty Dancing and Goose star Patrick Swayze, but the latter turned it down following his cancer diagnosis and passed away on September 14, 2009, a few weeks before Zombieland premiere. Other actors were asked to pop in as zombies, namely Mark Hamill, Joe Pesci, Dan Jensen, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Kevin Bacon, and Matthew. Murray was reportedly paid $3 million for his short scenes. Little Rock, who's Bill Murray? Tallahassee, I have never hit a kid before. I mean, that's like asking who Gandhi is. Little Rock, who is Gandhi? That is not Murray's actual mention. The four main characters go to Beverly Hills and take shelter in Murray's Mediterranean style 3 and 3,000 square foot mansion, thinking he has abandoned it, but the actor is actually still around, only disguised as a zombie to ward off real ones. This is in fact a business tycoon Lee Nijar's house in Buckhead, a suburb in Atlanta, and it is Nigar's own red Ferrari F430 Spider that can be seen in the garage. Shaun of the Dead inspired the director. Fleischer has commented multiple times that the credited actor writes 2004 zombie comedy Shaun of the Dead for inspiring some scene in those two movies. In Double Tap for Intense, the part where Columbus and Tallahassee meet their mirror selves, Albuquerque, Luke Wilson, and Flagstaff, is reminiscent for a scene where Shaun's band of survivors meet another group and strikingly similar character. Harrelson really played the banjo. Harrelson actually plays the banjo in the supermarket scene where he is looking for Twinkies. It was not dubbed in post-production. The actor was so dedicated to his role that he had previously taken to time to learn how to play the instruments properly. His characters used the banjo not only to attract potential zombies lurking at the supermarket, but also bash their heads. Ad-libs. It goes without saying that some lines are born to be ad-libbed in comedies. After Columbus shoots Murray in his mansion, having mistaken him for an actual zombie, Little Ross asks Murray if he has any regrets. The actor then gives her the unscripted reply, Garfield, maybe. This is a reference to the 2014 live-action comedy Garfield the Movie, in which Murray voices the canical and lazy orange cat. Wernick and Ricey liked it so much that in the sequel's post-credit, they created a flashback scene taking place on the first day of the apocalypse, and Murray was shown at a press event for Garfield 3 Flabby Tabby, an actual cancelled sequel. Another ad-libbed moment in Little Rock and Tallahassee's conversation in the back of the Hummer when she says she is only famous when she is Hannah Montana, when she is wearing the wig. Two of the lead roles almost went to different actors. Eisenberg was not the first choice for Columbus. Jamie Bill was originally cast, but he later backed out. Taylor Lautner was then suggested that the actor had other engagements. Stone was not the pick for Wichita either. Both Yvonne Rachel Wood and Megan Fox turned down the role. Amber Tamblyn auditioned but was not selected. Originally, Stone was first picked for the role of the Columbus unnamed neighbor in Apartment 406, his first very zombie encounter. The gig eventually went to Amber Heard, fortunately for Stone, who totally nailed Wichita. Harrelson is actually a major Elvis fan. In Double Tap, the story that Tallahassee tells Nevada in her Elvis theme hotel is based on real events. The mama took me to see Elvis when I was a kid. Something about him, the attitude, the music. Cut to later, I am in high school in the library and my buddy says, "Do your Elvis." I get up, he is not nothing but a born dog. Everybody starts gathering around, clapping. I jumped out on a table and for a moment, just one, I felt like the king. In an interview with James Corden, the actor filmed that his scene was based on a similar moment he had experienced in high school and added, "That really is the reason I became an actor." The cover of Elvis Burning Rock was performed by the actor himself and is included in the movie's soundtrack. Zombieland Movie Review. Zombieland 2009, the year's latest movie flick, I find myself unable to find where to start, not because it was a buck flick, but simply because there was so many kick-ass things about the movie. I am no songer of zombie movies, but I have seen my fair share, and I can safely say that this is the best zombie movie I have ever seen. Zombieland is a careful calibration of sarcasm, slapstick, artful direction, cool special effects, and even a minimal amount of sappiness. In short, something for everyone, unless, of course, they had rather your eyes not be assaulted by extreme, gracious wellness. You are welcome to the story where narration by Jesse Eisenberg, a self-proclaimed reclusive nerd who scorned a set of rules that will serve as your survival guide to Zombieland. Take note, moviegoers, these rules may save your life in the events of a zombie apocalypse. As the movie goes on, the rules pop up in the scene, reminding the viewers of the relevance of double tap or wear a seat belt. After an awesomely appealing opening credit sequence, Woody Harrelson burst in the scene in a blaze of redneck glory. He is out for two things: killing zombies in some pretty creative ways and finding Twinkies. Later, the guys are joined by some young ladies, Emma Stone and Abigail Breslin, and as always, hijinks ensues. It quickly becomes a buddy movie, romantic comedy, coming of age flick with zombies predictable, maybe but definitely not boring. Their dialogue is witty, brash, and funny, and constant clashes with the undead keep this movie flowing. Couple this with the greatest movie cameo I think I have never seen, and you have got yourself a winner. Do yourself a favor, don't look it up. Any spoiler alert, you'll ruin it for yourself, and it will not be as perfect and hilarious. I never thought I'd say it, but sometimes blood and gore can be spectacular to witness. Bodies fail across the screen in slow motion, violently chasing victims are smashing into blunt objects, blood artfully splattering the screen. I find it almost hard to believe that this flick is the first from Ruben Fleischer. The special effect, the slow motion sequence and pop-up survival rules, and the seriously biased lack of implies death cutaways on screen are amazing. I mean, typically in a film when someone careens to their death, the camera pulls away at the last instance, favoring the reaction shot of those viewing the death instead of watching blood splatter the cement. In Zombieland, you sit and you watch thinking that at the last second the camera will cut away. Not the case. Instead, not only do you get to watch people explode from hitting the sidewalk, you get to do it to slow motion. In the words of Tallahassee, nut up or shut up and go see Zombieland, Kring love it, and go see it again. Zombieland 2009 movie review. When I was little, zombies were not like they are today. They were slow, living dead people, assembling, mourning, rotting, and losing body parts on the road. Basically, they were dead people with a teeny part of their brain controlling motor function and hunger still working. Nowadays, being a zombie is a disease that transforms you into an homicidal, cannibalistic freak that oozes black goo out of its mouth. Columbus, played by Jesse Eisenberg, is an awkward college kid from Ohio going to college in Texas. After the zombie apocalypse, Columbus developed a set of 31 rules to stay alive in the American wasteland. Moved by the desire to see his family again, Columbus takes the road back to Ohio. On his way, he meets Tallahassee, a violent redneck who quickly discovered himself a passion for slaughtering zombies after shit hit the fan. They also meet Wichita and Little Rock, scripters and con artists who take advantage of Columbus and Tallahassee's good nature more than once. In a world where there are seemingly the last four people alive, getting along would be nice. So everyone decided to make an effort and the group goes down to California to seek a moment of the end of the world. Zombieland is going to in a bleater comparison to Shaun of the Dead since they are the two only mainstream movies of their gender. Serious comparison don't hold up aside from similarly pastic neurotic main characters. The two movies deal with completely different themes. Shaun of the Dead is about an alienated, emulated employee pulling out of mediocrity and becoming a hero when it matters, and Zombieland is about finding whatever or what makes us human in a world where humans have been wiped off the map. Both movies are dealing in very classic theme. Shaun of the Dead thought it unequally funny and more frantic. Simon Pegg has a gift for slapstick humor that few other actors of his generation have. Zombieland was still very interesting to me for being kind of a zombieless zombie movie. The rule in zombie movies usually is to keep it quiet and include in a festival of blood and guts at the end, and Zombieland kind of uses the foolproof method too. But it's not a panic movie of claustrophobic fears and cheap peekaboo scares. There are long scenes where zombies are just a mere afterthought, and the humor comes from the characters inhabiting a deserted America where they are the only people responsible for their moral standards. There's also a Bill Murray scene. I'm not spoiling anything since he's listed the cast and the movie set it up as a big joke. The scene itself period a few giggle out for me, but it's not that funny. It's an offbeat and whimsical scene that's worthy being watched though. Fans of the legendary actor will appreciate it subtly in a movie of about the most straightforward gender you can think of. Comedies are extremely hard to make, scratch that they are as difficult as any other genre to make, but it's insanely difficult to make a successful one. Part of the issue is having to decide whether or not the screenplay should go for easy love or attempt to craft a timeless, more intellectual brand of humor that might not be as well received at first, but who would have an immortal shelf life. Zombieland sets on the fence between those who philosophies which makes me wonder about its place in cinema history. Its timely arrival on the market 2009 was a great year for zombies, and the League of Zombie Comedies make me believe that Zombieland will be remembered, but can a movie that's not that funny become immortal? I don't know, and I might not be the most dedicated audience for this question. Big production don't usually come with their own set of ideas. Zombieland 2009. The review of this movie is 4.5 out of 5. That's mean that 90% of the audience loved the movie. After a virus has swept the world and turned 99% of the population into ravenous zombies, 4 survivors hook up on a perilous journey to Illinois Columbus with the Tallahassee and Quantum sisters Wichita and Little Rock. By now, you have probably heard about the cameo. Still, just to be on the safe side, we will not spell the identity of the Kimor, but otherwise it's true. Halfway through, Ruben Fleischer absurdly assaults Tabit. Zombieland, there's a surprise appearance from a major comedy star that is so daffy, so self-affecting, and so perfectly pitched that is virtually shuts the book on any other celebrity cameos from heroine. Thankfully, what proceeds and follow that is arguably brilliant and worthy of being mentioned in the same breath as the gentle leader Shaun of the Dead. That movie still shared it was spent a lot of time grounding the action in reality. But Zombieland take place is an unabashed fantasy world where little old ladies can crush zombies that grandpa's Looney Tunes style, and where the zombie apocalypse is merely an excuse for four characters to have the run of America, driving around like they own the place, wallowing in luxury mansion and occasionally bumping into and summarily dispatching some zombies. But despite the little, the zombies don't really matter in Zombieland. Oh, they are there, all right, occasionally threatening and always ready to be slaughtered. But Fleischer and his writer Rice and Wernick and refreshingly interested in putting flesh on their character bones, so opposed to stepping it off. And what characters they are normally in zombie films, the heroes' ranks are padded out by unlikable zombie fodder just trading water until they get munched. But Zombieland's greatest achievement is in presenting four wholly likable characters in whose ultimate survival you become wholly interested, whether they are gambling daily around with the cameo or in one neat road trip sequence, boring each other to tears with argument about everything from Millie Nelson to Hannah Montana. Admittedly, Emma Stone, Canical Wichita, and Abigail Breslin as her little sister are somewhat unwritten, but in Harrelson, high school Tallahassee, a man with an innate talent for returning the undead into the just dead, and Eisenberg Columbus propelling the story with a very young Woody Allen voiceover and his list of paranoid survivalist ruler. Fleischer has a classic buddy movie team at his disposal. Throw the cameo in there and the result in a zombie flick that stands shoulder to democratic shoulder, which the best the genre has to offer. Very funny after thrilling and full of neat little touches that should make it entirely reachable. Zombieland sees Fletcher join the ranks of director Rambo Wright, Remy Zander, whose first films are not just zombie films but great films. Zombieland 2009, if there's some moment that perfectly encapsulates the vibe of the horror comedy Zombieland, it's probably this. Woody Harrelson is a cowboy hat, whooping and collaring, picking up zombies with a gun from a moving roller coaster. This movie is right basically. It's a slick, funny buddy flick confection about a dork, Jesse Eisenberg, a Twinkie-loving Hitch, Harrelson, a haughty Emma Stone, and a sassy kid, Abigail Breslin, who biker unborn as they drive across country. After a zombie plague, they are each looking for a safe haven that pretty much know that they will not find. Their dot seems to bust up about it and that they practically stop along the way to break into celebrity mansion and smash things for fun. There is not any deeper message to the things beyond family is where you find it. If it were not for the R rating for gore and swearing, you could almost describe the movie as family friendly. Now I tend to like my zombie films with some sort of glaringly obvious social commentary, whether it's a stare of consumerism, 1978's Dawn of the Dead, or a riff on 30-year-old boys who need to grow up. Shaun of the Dead Zombieland has none of that, but it won me over anyway. I just kind of kick its feet up and says let's have some low-key fun with this whole post-apocalyptic undead things that it does so with customer-grade professionalism and polish. I could see it becoming a medium-sized hit. Director Ruben Fleischer has a decent visual wit, particularly when he plays with slow motion, lighter the frame with little cards listening. Eisenberg's survival tips are stop the film cold to show you the zombie kill of the week. The cast is adorable, especially Eisenberg taking his second trip this year to an amusement park in a movie ending inland. His Machel Kira SQ reading of lines like I'm just kind of a psychopathic character clash nicely with Harrelson and the flesh munching wasteland. And without spoiling anything, I'll just say that Zombieland has one hell of the extended celebrity cameo. Don't spoil yourself beforehand, it's funnier that way. Zombieland is the movie. It's funny about the zombies. And how did the zombie virus start in Zombieland? As an offbeat take on a well-worn genre of zombie, Zombieland is a cult favorite comedy, and the cause of the film, Zombies Outbreak, is similarly smart. The Jesse Eisenberg League adventure applies a madcap yet droll sensibility to the usual horrifying post-apocalyptic zombie genre, with the characters embarking on a road trip to find sanitary in an amusement park away from the undead, as well as killing Bill Murray in an outrageous zombie movie cameo. Unlike other dystopian franchises, which often invent societies, tech, and illness, the virus that causes the zombie plague in Zombieland will be familiar to viewers, as well as giving Eisenberg a career leg up after his breakout in Adventureland. Zombieland proved that there was plenty of original filmmaking left in the horror comedy genre, along with box office success. It was praised by critics for its playfulness and originality amid satisfying helping of gore and chaos. The comedy follows Eisenberg as Columbus, a college student who survived the outbreak thanks to sticking to strict rules. Columbus is trying to reach his parents and has to team up with other survivors after zombies ravage the whole of the United States. While the scale of his catastrophe is huge, the cause is surprisingly mundane and reflect real-world fears. Zombieland were started from a strain of mad cow disease. Plenty of recent epidemics have put society on edge, and Zombieland script shows that mad cow disease was one of them. Columbus explained that the disease spread to humans in the movie, saying, "Remember mad cow disease? Well, mad cow became mad person, became mad zombie." He names an infected burger as the chaos, and later the zombie shows a manager being brutally attacked by a zombie in what could be the same gas station where patient zero ate the burger. However, Zombieland smartly sidesteps sliding into imaginary scenario to try to explain why the burgers would produce zombies. Columbus instead goes on to simply list the symptoms of a swollen brain, a racking fever, which then makes it victim violent with a bad case of the machines. Mad cow disease or bombing, spongiform encephalopathy thankfully doesn't really turn humans, a cow for that matters, into brain-caving monster, but it's still a scary prospect. The fatal disease hit farms all over the world in the decade turning up to 2009 Zombieland. The UK was particularly hard hit, with other nations banning UK beef and billions of cows being killed. The BBC reports a type of parent disease. It wraps protein and causing cell death. It can also spread to humans through contaminated food in the form of variant Jacob disease, though it usually stays dormant. Why the outbreak is more dangerous in Zombieland 2. Equally hilarious sequel Zombieland Double Tap ups the stakes of showing the virus has mutated to create a roster for new type of zombies, while a retreat for horror fans need to watch new ways of character to die horribly. The more diverse zombies make things even more nightmarish, within the world of the movie. T-800, named for Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator, are nearly unkillable. Hawkins act with more strategy than unusual zombies, meaning they present a much more sinister threat. Ninjas are unsurprisingly faster and harder to catch. The only new type of zombies not posing a new threat are hammers or in Simpson, which are dull and slow. Perhaps the most dangerous update about the outbreak in the Zombieland sequel is that 10 years later, the zombie apocalypse is still raging on. Where was Zombieland filmed? Post-apocalyptic movies filming location explain. The 2009 horror comedy Zombieland is set in and around Los Angeles, California, but the majority of filming was done nowhere near its location. Like other zombie apocalypse movies, Zombieland requires sets that looked devoid of life and allowed for plenty of room for characters like Columbus, Wichita, Little Rock, and Tallahassee to cause a little destruction. This means the film's production designer Mir Ahmed had to get creative in determining where filming would take place. Many indoor scenes of Zombieland, such as the scene in Columbus' apartment in which he first came face to face with the zombie, were shot on sound stages in California. However, most outdoor locations are those set within the various homes and business the gang found were filmed in or around Atlanta, Georgia. Parking slots, abandoned storefronts, theme parks, speedways, and million-dollar mansions. The creator of this thriller used every clever location they could. So when next watching Zombieland, there could be some recognizable sights. One Park Place, Atlanta, Georgia. One of the early scenes of Zombieland served to outline Columbus' rules for surviving the zombie apocalypse, as the character's voice explained the usefulness of cardio and delivering a final blow or double tap. Zombies are seen chasing people through a public bathroom and parking lot. This scene was shot in a plaza parking lot in Atlanta, Georgia called One Park Place. The surrounding city is visible in the background, as well as a gas station. Through this public location would usually be bustling with people and cars. It was cleverly out for filming, giving the dressed up zombies actors plenty of room to run around. Lithia Springs, Georgia. Columbus and Tallahassee meet Wichita and Little Rock in an abandoned grocery store called Blair's Grocery while they were on a hunt for Twinkies. This is also where Tallahassee took down a zombie with a banjo, another memorable moment in Zombieland. Thankfully, the cast didn't destroy the actual grocery store. The shop set was constructed via a gigster within an old, deserted building in Lithia Springs, Georgia. This allowed for the falling apart storefront scene in the film and the unnaturally pristine interior created for the scene. Detroit, Georgia. Wichita and Little Rock had been running scams long before the zombie apocalypse, as seen in the flashback gas and culp scene. The two tricked the gas station manager into giving them $4,000 for a ring that believed would gain him $300,000. Though really the jewelry was entirely worthless and one of many kept by Wichita and Little Rock. This scene was shot at a real gas station in Detroit, Georgia. Though it has since been turned into an auto repair shop called Port Service Station. Though the scene has been changed from green to blue, the building itself is still very recognizable as seen on movie screen. Atlanta Motor Speedway, Hampton, Georgia. There are several scenes throughout Zombieland where the character drive down abandoned roadways. Notable examples are when Tallahassee first picked up Columbus, or when they saw a hostage truck on the side of the road and hoped it might contain some unopened Twinkies. The Atlanta Motor Speedway is Hampton, Georgia, via global film locations, was cleverly utilized for scenes like these. The several lanes of road allowed plenty of room for the crew to bring in and pile off some junk vehicles for all anyone could tell. The scene truly was an abandoned highway full of cars that didn't quite escape the apocalypse. Cowboys, Steaks and Stuff, Rotor Lake, Georgia. Columbus, Tallahassee, Wichita, and Little Rock didn't enter cameo Cebu's trading post with the intention of destroying the place, but the moment wound up being a reminder of another of Columbia's rules. Enjoy the little things. It was a fun moment for the group with a great way to let off steam. Ultimately, the destruction was satisfying for even audience not living through a zombie apocalypse like the other dilapidated stores in Zombieland. The scenes at Cameo Soups were filmed in a real business in Root Lake, Georgia, called Cowboy Steaks and Stuff. It can be assumed, however, that the crew brought in their own inventory to be demolished. 490 West Bases, Footy Road, Atlanta, Georgia. One of the best surprises of Zombieland was the appearances of actor Bill Murray, who played himself. Columbus, Tallahassee, Wichita, and Little Rock traveled to the actor's home in Los Angeles, California, and helped themselves to be luxurious of this massive mansion. This was when Murray showed up in the flesh before he was accidentally added to the list of Zombieland kills. In truth, the home shown in Zombieland didn't belong to Murray, but it was an actual mansion in Atlanta, Georgia. The property, which was also used in the 2012 film The Three Stooges, most recently sold for $8.5 million, according to Realtor.com. Wild Adventures Theme Park, Valdosta, Georgia. Wichita and Little Rock's main goal was to reach the amusement park Pacific Playland, where they believed they would be safe from the zombie lands. Of course, once they got there and switched on all the light, they discovered that this is hard been far from true. The scenes here were shot at the Real Warfare Wild Adventure theme park in Valdosta, Georgia. Several of the park's cirque, roller coaster, and various other rides can be seen in the background as Columbus and Tallahassee fight to save their friends. Wild Adventures is still up and running today, so Zombieland fans can always pay the place a visit. Netherworld Haunted House, Atlanta, Georgia. While at Pacific Playland, Columbus was forced to enter Haunted House. Pretty ironic since it was obviously full of real zombies. The outside of the building of horror was constructed by the Zombieland crew at the Wild Adventures theme park, but the inside was filmed within a real haunted house in Atlanta, Georgia. No one knows Zombieland was going to be such a massive success when production was ongoing. So Netherworld Haunted House got rather lucky when they agreed to offer up their business as a filmmaking location. Now Netherworld is proud of its involvement with the film and uses this perfect to drum up business, as seen on its Facebook page. Why Zombieland characters don't use their real name except one. The main characters of Zombieland form a strange but effective team thanks to their different personalities and skills. And one of their peculiarities is that they don't use their real names. But why? Zombie stories went through a great run in the 2000s in both film and TV. And Zombieland seized the popularity of the genre and mixed it with comedy to bring one of the best comedies of the decade. Directed by Ruben Fleischer in his theatrical debut, Zombieland took the audience to a world where a strain of mad cow disease mutated and infected humans all over the world, turning them into zombies. Zombieland follows a group of survivors formed by Columbus, a college student who came up with a set of rules to survive the zombie apocalypse. Tallahassee, a man who looks through on the outside but is actually deeply wounded and who was on a mission to find Twinkies in the apocalypse, and Sister Wichita and Little Rock, who initially tricked them to steal their weapons. Together they fought a bunch of zombies and Tallahassee eventually got Twinkies, but they still kept their names a secret even in the sequel, Zombieland Double Tap, and they had a good reason for that. The Zombieland characters use their location rather than make personal connections. The nicknames for the main character in Zombieland are based on where they come from, and not even Columbus' real name is revealed. Even though he is the lead character of the stories, identifying themselves by the name of the place they come from is actually a survival tactic in the world of Zombieland, as survivors are advised to use nicknames when meeting fellow survivors in order to not get attached to them and protect themselves, as anyone could get infected or they could have other secret intentions like Wichita and Little Rock did at first. However, although the main group applied this rule and stuck to it in the sequel as well, they ended up getting attached to each other, especially Columbus and Wichita, who started a relationship while Tallahassee and Little Rock developed a father-daughter-like relationship. The characters of Zombieland using their location as their names rather than their real ones continue in Zombieland Double Tap with a new character like Nevada and Albuquerque. However, one member of the main group revealed her real name at the end of the first movie, Wichita, whose real name is Krista. After Columbus and Tallahassee saved Wichita and Little Rock a specific playland, Wichita got back with Columbus, kissed him, and revealed her real name. Why Gilmore uses his real name in Zombieland? The only character in Zombieland who used his real name was Bill Murray. On their way to Pacific Playland, once they reached Hollywood, Tallahassee took the rest to Bill Murray's house, where to their surprise they meet an uninfected Murray who was disguised as a zombie, but unfortunately he was killed by Columbus, who thought he was a real zombie. Bill Murray didn't use a nickname because he was playing a fictionalized version of himself, and everyone knows who Bill Murray is, so there would have been no point in protecting his identity when he is a public figure. In Zombieland Double Tap, another character used her real name, Madison, played by Zoe Dutch, who was the dumb blonde of the story, so it's understandable why he will not give herself a nickname. The ending explained of the movie Zombieland. The Zombieland 2009 movie. Does Tallahassee get his Twinkies? Zombieland plot synopsis. Just 2 months and I might be the last cannibal non-freak in the country. These lines uttered by Columbus, played by Jesse Eisenberg, set the tone for the 2009 post-apocalyptic horror comedy film Zombieland, directed by Ruben Fleischer and starring Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg, Emma Stone, and Abigail Breslin, with a brilliant cameo by Bill Murray. This factually funny rom-com is a fun take on the zombie subgenre with its witty dialogue and ferociously positive outlook. In fact, Fleischer himself said that he was inspired by the undead comedy Shaun of the Dead 2004. Zombieland is the dystopian world run over by children of the living dead. It's a typical zombie apocalypse where pretty much everyone infected and the few survivors struggle to stay alive. Our hero Columbus, a jumpy and paranoid college student, ends up meeting the trigger-happy Tallahassee as he journeys through USA vaping zombies. They crowd past with the con artist Wichita and Little Rock who scam everyone and everybody, which leads to chaos, and they all have gun and nothing to do in his lawless world. What is the organ of the zombie? Unlike the traditional zombie genre where zombies rose from the dead and slowly limp towards their targets, the infected in Zombieland are quick on their feet. It's also worth noting that they are not actually undead but merely individuals infected with the disease. Also, in direct contrast to many contemporary zombie films, Zombieland is quite explicit about the birth of this epidemic. The first patient ate an infected hamburger. The mad cow virus mutated, jumped across species into human, and further mutated into a mad zombie virus, which causes in the victim a loss of reasoning and higher brain functions and a craving for the flesh of non-infected humans. Why do Wichita and Little Rock return for the men? No matter their chaotic star, Tallahassee, Columbus, Little Rock, and Wichita form a bond of friendship. You could even go so far as to call them a family, albeit a dysfunctional family, but their first few interactions were rooted in treachery and bullets. When the guards abused the men on the road the second time, they decided to leave them stranded and drive off with their guns and weapons. But Little Rock convinces Wichita to take them along because it's adventurous to have slower and older people in the group because you can outrun them in case of the sudden zombie attack. The scene was deleted in the film but can be seen on the Blu-ray version, and while they may have had ulterior motives for allowing Tallahassee and Columbus to take along, it ended up being the right decision. Why do the zombies attack the amusement park? As shown throughout Zombieland, the sisters have a hard time trusting people, which is why when Vegeta starts getting close to Columbus, she gets scared of getting hurt or hurting him. Instead of dealing with her feelings, she decided to run away, and what better way to get Little Rock to follow her than to tempt her with her lifelong dream of visiting Pacific Playland and amusement park. What she doesn't take into account are the light and the sounds that accompany an amusement park. So while it is abandoned, once the car turns on the electricity, criminal music starts playing and the whole place lights up. A beacon that can be seen and heard from miles away that attracts all the zombies who are within range to hear and come running right when the cars are on one of the rides. While they are barely able to fend them off, Columbus, who was not ready to give up on them, comes to their rescue with a baggering Tallahassee, and long story short, they save the day. Is Zombieland a homage to the Western zombies? On the surface, the film is essentially a road trip movie about a dysfunctional family traveling across the country in the backdrop of an apocalypse. But if you look closely, it draws inspiration from the Western, a ragtag band of strangers traveling west together, dealing with their various issues while battling the external threat. Sounds pretty familiar. In John Ford's quintessential Western Stagecoach, the external threat was the native Indian tribe on the raft. In Zombieland, it's the zombie brigade. On top of that, we have John Cena or even Clint Eastwood providing the template for Tallahassee's gun-toting, hyper-masculine character. Columbus and Tallahassee fast interaction on the highway also happen to be a face-off, a typical Sergio Leone-style Mexican standoff between the two, complete with close-up shots of eyes and weapon, and a packed watch true embedded in the background music, which is actually similar to the music in the final duel of Leone's iconic film For a Few Dollars More, 1965. What is Zombieland different? Typically, zombie genre has certain prerequisites. It's an apocalypse. Society has completely fallen apart. People betray and kill one another. Nothing is safe and death is around the corner. Important characters die in droves. There is significant emphasis on the grief of the loss of a loved one, and there is an all pervasive sense of fear and hopelessness. But that's not the case in Zombieland. None of the important leads die. No one actually grieves apart from the hilarious death of Bill Murray. Killing and obliterating zombies along the way is a given, and one would give us thought to an as squashing bugs. Sure, there's a plenty of danger in Zombieland, near misses and innocent lives lost, but for our virtually indestructible protagonist, it's a preserved kind of paradise. The journal mood is pretty unbeat. You can do anything you have ever wanted, take what you want, destroy cars, shoot guns, whatever and whenever, and loot and store. There are no consequences to your action. Enter your mansion that takes your fancy and live like a king. What happens to belong to Bill Murray is an amazing cameo and in line with the previously implausible scenario that great Bill Murray is fine with strangers taking over his home. Now, how cool is that? The ultimate fancy for a Bill Murray fan. You even got to reenact scenes from Ghostbusters with him until he gets killed accidentally, and it's not the zombies. In fact, what sets Zombieland apart from other Z thrillers in that for the protagonist, zombies are the least of their worries. Up until the climax, when they are almost engulfed by a horde and things seems to go downhill, but the film is so optimistic that there's never any doubt as to the outcome of the battle. The greatest tragedy is that all the Twinkies go extinct, but even then Tallahassee still gets that one final piece. But on the whole, it's a win-win situation. Columbus gets the supercar, Tallahassee gets to include his favorite spots, wiped out a whole bunch of zombies and eat a Twinkie, and we have the typical American happy ending. So is there zombie apocalypse a kind of utopia? Tallahassee is a bit of wild guy. There's no real arguing with that fact, but as Tallahassee himself might say, there's a method to his madness. For intense fan of the first film may have noticed that he is always spray painting the number 3 on the side of his car. Well, the reason for that is Tallahassee is owning NASCAR legend Dale Earnhardt, who drove the number 3 car for the majority of his career before his tragic death during the final lap of the Daytona 500 back in 2001. Some fans may not know this, but Zombieland was actually first pitched as a TV show before it eventually became a movie.